Good morning, Facebook world. Some technical difficulties this morning, but oh, and my comments are where I need to see them. Awesome. How is everybody doing this morning? Very exciting. We're going to talk about proofing today. Definitely one of the things that helped me take my training to the next level. So happy Friday morning. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. We are having lovely weather, which always puts a smile on my face. And it's summer for the next week, like high 20s, which is awesome. As always, please feel free to ask questions in the comments. I will answer throughout the live, so just ask away. Um, if you are listening to the recording, let me know by using hashtag replay in the comments section. Good morning, Dorothy. It's always nice when I first get my first comment to make sure it's all actually working the way I expect it to. Okay, so if you're listening to the recording, let me know by using hashtag replay in the comments section. That way I can make sure I answer your questions, any questions you have. For those of you on the call, say hello. I love to hear from you. Oh, and one more thing. I'm very excited. This is my 50th Facebook Live. See, this is one of the good things from COVID. To commemorate the, oh my God, I can't believe it's 50, I'm giving away some swag. So if you'd like to play, in the comments, write hashtag love dogs. Everyone who comments will be in the draw. I will make the draw and announce the winner on next week's live on May 21st. Even if you are listening to the recording, add it to the comments and you'll be counted. So make sure you play. And there'll be other opportunities to get some swag further on in the live. So make sure you stick around for the whole thing. Now that, not that you wouldn't, but now back to the topic for today, proofing. Proofing is how you test and grow your dog's understanding of whatever it is you are working on. Last week, I talked about failure and how it is an important part of dog training. Proofing is the art of creating planned failures. And I call it an art because to me, this is what makes a really good dog trainer. And it is something I'm always trying to get better at. Exactly what questions to ask, when to ask them to get the best results, to maintain your dog's confidence while continuing to increase understanding and improving the skill. Good morning, Barb. In other words, grow the behavior. Like anything else, to become proficient at proofing takes practice. And you will make mistakes. You may ask your dog too many questions, or you may ask the wrong questions, or whatever causes too much frustration before they are ready. Something simple like, I've been super organized this week, had a beautiful training plan, and I've trained my dog a pal this week. And yesterday when I was training, I'm like, she's not at full power. She's doing everything I asked. She's coming out, working hard for me. She's not disconnected, but she's not quite at full power. And I'm like, hey, you know what? And I haven't done that much training, but for her, I think training is hard on her little brain. It makes her think hard, and thinking hard is hard. So I'm going to have to tone back the training, and then that's a test. If I train you shorter or more easy stuff and less hard stuff, or less days a week, I'm going to have to play with it. And training for me is, I've done some strength work in the basement. I've done some getting her used to be running with me on the ATV, because that's a lot of different bits of training, and maybe all of those are too much. Maybe I have to tone them down. So now it's going to be questions and answers, figuring out what is her ideal for her. And she's still a really young dog. She's 15 months. So that ideal might change because she's still maturing and growing and understanding. So it's okay. Remember that failure, like I said last week, failure is part of learning. There's no such thing as you got this and that's it, you're done. No, you've got this and then it changes, and you've got this and then it changes, and you've got this and then it changes. That's dog training. And that's why I call it an art, because to me, the people who are really good at that are the best dog trainers. Oh, lots of comments. Good morning, Dorothy. Thank you so much for writing hashtag love dogs. Good morning, Debbie. Hope you are having a wonderful morning. Okay, so Like with people, dogs come in all sorts of personalities. Some are more confident and driven, some are less confident and driven. And I don't think some are definitely less driven, but I think I had an instructor years ago. Her name was Chris Bach. She trains out of Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. I just like saying Menominee Falls. Um, and she said dogs have drives and sensitivities. The drives get affected by the sensitivities. So some dogs, I think, have a lot more sensitivities or are more sensitive to their sensitivities. So that affects your drive. And that's what I'm seeing with Wiki. I can get her into drive, but then if I push the sensitivities, her drive drops. So when proofing, you don't just build the behavior you are working on. You are also teaching your dog how to deal with failure, how to enjoy problem solving. A dog who, instead of reacting with their default stress behaviors like sniffing, barking, jumping on you, leaving, becomes a dog who keeps thinking and working the problem. A thinking dog can hear you, and when they can hear you, they can listen. And when they can listen, they will do what you ask. Most people, when they say my dog isn't doing what I tell them, it's not the dog. Sometimes it's the dog doesn't understand, but then that's a whole other issue. It's a lot of times it's the dog is not in a position to listen, and that's the beginning problem. This is how you get a dog who loves to learn and is a joy to train. I would expect 2 years from now, Wicked can train this hard and will actually, and I've seen it, actually gets off on training this hard. But right now, it's too much work and I have to tone it back down. And again, it's a test. I don't know if toning it back down is what she needs. I'm going to have to go back through what I've done and my videos and see what happened and then figure it out. Let me give you a proofing example with a behavior most dogs have. We're going to start with a sit. I am sure most of you think, hey, I can do this. My dog is really good at sit. And I'm sure your dogs are. But here, proofing is how we make the sit or anything else better. Let me detour for a moment. It always amuses me when clients want more skills to teach, more behaviors for their dogs to learn. I'm like, but your sit sucks, your recall sucks, but you want to teach all these other things. Don't get me wrong, your dog loves to learn, and teaching new and different things is a lot of fun. And the reason dog sports are so popular because it keeps giving you different things to work on. But make sure you have truly taught your handful of super important foundation skills. And that's a process. I'm not saying don't teach anything till your foundations are perfect, but always keep in mind the foundations are necessary for everything else to be good. Having your dog Shake-a-Paw is great, and there are a lot of benefits with teaching stupid pet tricks, but your foundation skills are life skills that are necessary to have that well-behaved dog that can go anywhere and do anything with you, and that's what most of us want. Skills like come when I call you, walk on leash, don't lose your crap every time somebody walks by. These are skills that need to be better. They need to be proof so you are able to use them in everyday life and confidently use them, going, I know my dog will do that. Because that takes out your stress behaviors and your fear when you're like, meh, my dog's going to handle that. And then you take this training and you pepper in stupid pet tricks. Let's do nose touches. Let's do spins. Let's do rollovers. Um, Helping maintain drive and confidence by working easy and hard behaviors regularly. But remember, just teaching fun tricks is not going to make your foundation skills better, no matter how often you practice. Back to Chris. Chris said, whenever she set up a training session, there was always a new behavior. New behaviors tend to be heavy rate of reinforcement because you're trying to create behavior. Figure it out, but they enjoy it. Then there's a behavior you're still creating, building, proofing, and there's a behavior that's established and they're confident. She would set up her training like that, always have a new behavior, a training behavior, and a trained behavior. There's lots of different ways to set those up. You just got to play with it again and figure out what works best for you and your dog. Back to the sit proofing. Is your dog really good at sit? Or is your dog really good at sit in your kitchen with a cookie in your hand? Or on your front step or in your backyard or when you hold the food bowl? I was working with a friend of mine and I'm like, have you been working your stays? And she's like, yes, I have. My dogs are awesome. She's got them so she has multiple dogs and they release out one at a time to their bowls. Super. But on our start line, they're not awesome because we've always heard dogs don't generalize. So in this case, they're really good at that specific situation. But as soon as you took it out of that situation, her dogs actually were like, I don't understand this game at all. No problem. That showed you a hole in the training and stuff we can work on. Because I am nowhere near done. And the reason I'm asking you this is because I realize I get people all the time, they call me. I have a 10-week-old dog. He knows how to sit. No, he doesn't. He's 10 weeks. He knows nothing. Um, I don't think my 15-month-old border collie knows how to sit anywhere near as well as I'd like her to sit as she gets older and we keep working on it. Here's some of the levels of the sit she still doesn't have and why I think her sit is a work in progress. She can't. I guarantee you. And I would never ask for the sit because then it would teach her when deer runs by in the forest and I ask you to sit, just chase the deer. So sit eventually, and I've seen this, means chase the deer. Usually it's not a sit, it's a come. Can she sit and stay with dogs running around her? On a leash about 100 feet away? Yes. 20 feet away? No. So that one's coming along and we'll help her eventually get the deer one. Can she be chasing a toy and sit on a verbal? No, we are working. If you saw my in my inner circle, I posted a video of her trying to get downs with me shaking a toy in my hand, and it wasn't working. So again, something I need to work on. It's just always figuring out questions and answers. What can you do? Oh, you can't do that. Okay, we need to work on that. How can I make it easier to work on that? So this is the reason why our sit is still a work in progress, and maybe for most of her life, and probably will be, because I can always find ways to make it better. And that's not a bad thing. That's what's fun about dog training. There's always, you know, in the winter when it's cold and snowing and we don't want to go outside, you can work on sit proofing. Your training improves, your dog is mentally exhausted. Sit is also a strength exercise if you're doing it for an extended period of time. So you're working a little strength. And this is how training works. Proofing is how you get that super high level of performance where you see people with their dogs and you're like, I want that. The thing with proofing is your dog is not just learning the skill, but learning how to listen and control themselves. A dog that can get called off a squirrel has acquired a number of other skills while working up to being able to be called off that squirrel. Like that dog probably walks well on leash because it understands what isn't available. Trust me, if you can call it off a squirrel, it knows how to walk by a squirrel on leash, which means that dog can go anywhere in public because it walks well on leash. That leads to a dog that can go more places with you and your family because you know it's not going to lose its crap when it sees the squirrel run by. And all that gives you that dog you're looking for, which is that dog that is part of the family and is easy to live with. Answers by methodically increasing the difficulty of the questions. In fact, when you train like this, you will be amazed, or at least I'm always amazed at how quickly you can progress when you pull it back to easier and then methodically, I shouldn't be saying that word this morning, go step by step by step. And all of a sudden you've reached levels that you're like, holy, my dog can do that. So now that we can see the complexity of the behavior sit to a higher level, let's talk about the components of sit. There are two main parts to a sit. One is the stay, the understanding that when I cue to you to sit, you stay until I give you another cue or release. I do not use the word stay. If you want to use the word stay, please go ahead. I honestly, dogs don't come pre-programmed. You can say whatever you like. Just make sure it has meaning to your dog and your dog understands it, and that's proof it. The other part of the sit is the cue. The understanding that when I cue a sit, notice I said cue, that could be a verbal, a hand signal, or contextual, your butt hits the ground. By contextual, I mean dogs are required to sit. My dogs are required to sit when I put my hand on the patio door. When I put my hand on anything, I walk up to the door, I put my hand on the door, and my dog sits because he knows he's never going outside until he sits. That means I will work the cue. You want to split those two things up. So I'm either working the cue or I'm working stays. Working on too many challenges at once gives the dog too many questions and will lead to too much frustration. And this is the problem with training is we go, can you do this, this, and this? And there's all of a sudden 3 questions and the dog goes, boom, I can't do any of them. I'm just going to walk away. So my dog has a great hand signal. So just so you know, FYI, hand signals are a lot easier than verbals for your dog. So a lot of the time, if I'm proofing the sit cue, I am going to start with a hand signal and then move on to a verbal. 2 reasons for this. Dogs are not verbal creatures. They live off body language. So hand signals make a lot more sense to them and are easier to train. The second reason is we talk a lot. We don't protect our cues, meaning we say them a lot. Many times we say them and the dog doesn't do them, and eventually the cues lose all meaning. Let me give you an example that I see in a lot of videos with my students, that my students in my inner circle private teaching send me in for feedback. The dog is completely distracted, focused on something else, like the squirrels in the tree. And the owner's like, sit, 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 trying to get them to pay attention to them, showing them cookies, sometimes jerking on their leash to get them to pay attention. I get it. I've been that person that trying to get your dog to pay attention to prove that your dog will pay attention, because otherwise, oh my God, my dog's not paying attention. I get it. And this is the reason that voluntary attention is part of our ODR game for exactly this situation. So in this situation, I'd play ODR. I'd stand there. If my dog can watch the distraction on a loose leash, I would actually reward it, rewarding them for being able to watch calmly. But that rewarding, that taking the food helps them interrupt that focus because they can't chew and stay 100% focused. To chew, they have to bring some of their focus back into their body. The more they bring their focus into their body, the more they're like, oh, look, you're giving me cookies. Oh, what if I look at you? So now they're voluntarily looking away from the distraction and focusing in on you. And now, you know what? I bet you they'll sit. So that's how I'd work that till my dog goes, oh yeah, there's squirrels in that tree. But if I look at you, we do stuff and I get cookies. And that's how I start to build the ability to sit while there's squirrels there. And if you go the other way and just go sit, 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 and try to get their attention, the situation, the dog is not only practicing not listening, he is understanding that the word sit means nothing, or even worse, means look for a distraction. I had a client in agility who, whenever she said her dog's name, her dog ran away. So now her dog's name cued running away. Nobody wants that. I have learned through my own trial and error, a large part of having a well-trained dog is accepting what your dog can and cannot do. And not going down that fear. When our dog doesn't do what we want, I think we keep saying the words, hoping they'll listen because we're scared that they'll never listen. And as soon as you're like, okay, he doesn't understand it right now, he can't do it right now, but it'll come, you will relax a whole lot more and be able to accept what they can and cannot do. And not asking them to do it when they can't, because that just teaches them not to listen. So back to the sit proofing, which I keep detouring off. I start with easy work. Walk around the kitchen, turn to my dog, give them a hand signal. My dog sits. I give 3 rewards to maintain my stay work, and then release, break, okay, and walk away. Even though I am not working on my stay, I don't want to blow my stay out of the water. So the 3 rewards creates a maintain, and then the release ends the stay. This should be easy peasy, fun for everyone with a high rate of reinforcement, or said another way, 100% success, setting your dog up to work a little harder. Unfortunately, this is where most people stop. But I want that dog that can be running at full speed and I say sit and my dog's butt hits the ground. So now I want to start adding challenges. This is important because if your dog can sit on a verbal cue at full speed, then that dog can sit when you answer the door for the pizza delivery guy. Has an incredible recall. So you see how a great sit will lead you to all the other bits of training that you so want. You never train in isolation. Meaning to get to this level, you haven't just worked on sit, you have worked on self-control, you have worked on understanding of cues, you have worked on listening skills. To achieve that, I have to start challenging my dog to improve the understanding of what sit really means. First step is always have management in place. Management allows you to prevent your dog from earning reinforcement for the wrong choices. In this case, my management is putting a leash on my dog. That way, if I am happily training and the cat runs by and my dog completely forgets what he is doing and goes to chase the cat, the leash lets me explain that the cat is not available and he should come back to work. And now I have the opportunity to reward the choice, creating the likelihood that that choice will happen again. So I'm hoping you're seeing how management is so important in a lot of the stages of training. And what that means is depends on the situation. Back to the exercise. I promise I'll get to the end of the exercise eventually. Okay, somewhere in the kitchen now, so this is the challenge. Somewhere in the kitchen, I'm going to put a food bowl on the ground, something my dog recognizes as my dog in his crate, or have someone else put the food bowl down while my dog is watching. I want him to know it's there. I take my dog out of the crate, or the person puts the bowl down, and we play ODR. Observe, don't react. Following the rules of ODR, I let my dog look at the food bowl. Now he has choices. Can you look at the food bowl on a loose leash? Great. I reward that if the answer is yes, I can. This might be super simple for your dog, or it might be super challenging. Let your dog's answer to your questions guide your next challenge. This is not cookie cutter. For young dogs, the difficulty might change on a daily basis. If easy, reward once for watching the bowl on a loose leash, and then wait until your dog voluntarily gives you attention. If it was super hard, I would reward 3 to 5 times before I waited for voluntary attention. Most dogs, honestly, after you do this a few times, the dog's going to go, yeah, there's a food bowl. What are we doing? The voluntary attention is a big step in creating the dog that can listen regardless of the distraction. I see so many people trying to get their completely distracted dog to sit, like I was saying above. That's what you don't want to do. If your dog can't look at you or respond to you, stop trying to make them. You may win this battle, but they may eventually pay attention to you, but I promise we'll lose the war. The battling you have to do to get their attention is actually reinforcing not paying attention to you. This is the reason the ODR game and the voluntary attention was created, to work through this struggle. If this is challenging, you may end up rewarding just watching on a loose leash a few times, and that could be the session for the day. Or take a little break, have a little play, and then come back and try again. Always accepting what your dog is telling you. Let go of what should be happening, what your dog should know, and accept what your dog is clearly telling you. A bowl on the floor is hard, and I don't have the skill, and your dog is telling you, I don't have the skill to pay attention to you right now, or to not pay attention to the bowl on the floor. That doesn't mean forever, that means just right now. To a verbal would be adding 2 challenges. Did your dog sit? Great. Reward multiple times to maintain your stay, release, break or okay, or whatever word you use, and then move. Move around the kitchen and repeat a few times, getting closer to the bowl, falling back into ODR anytime your dog loses the ability to focus. So if my dog's like, oh, now we're 2 feet away from the bowl. Oh my God, there's a bowl. Okay, we go back to ODR. When he's like, oh, yeah, yeah, I can ignore the bowl, we go back to sit. This is letting your dog figure out how to keep his attention on you. Now, again, this might be easy for your dog and you're still at 100% success, or it may be super challenging. Let your dog tell you where he needs to go next. Here are some suggestions to increase the challenge if your dog's like, got this. Let your dog watch as someone pours a cup of kibble into the bowl. Now, how close can you get before your dog loses the ability to function? Even harder, have someone pick up the food and drop it in the bowl as you walk around cueing as said. So they're actually doing this with the kibble in the bowl, drawing your dog towards that bowl. If that's still easy, which is super amazing, Hold your dog's collar, put a cookie in the bowl, and tell him to get it. Go back to get it game, which I've talked about in previous Facebook Lives. So you hold your dog's collar, throw a cookie in the bowl, but this time, the first time you hold your dog's collar, throw the cookie in the bowl and say, get it. The second time you hold your dog's collar, you throw a cookie in the bowl, but this time, let go of the collar and play ODR and wait for voluntary attention before asking for a sit. So you would let go of the collar, but you have the leash and you right away, and they're going to go, but you're going to say, get it. And you're like, but I'm not. And then when you let go, you hold the collar, you hold the leash on your body and wait for voluntary attention till they're like, oh, when you're leaning over me and you say, get it, I should go get that cookie. But when you don't say get it, that cookie's not available. Do you realize how you're teaching? This is listening skills. This is your dog not making assumptions. Oh, when I see a bowl with cookies, I am going to go get it because that is my assumption. This is your dog actually having to hear you. And eventually you can play, and this is advanced get it game. You're holding your dog's collar, you throw the cookie in the bowl, you let go of the collar, your dog waits for the get it. But then instead of get it, you can say down. By that time, your dog is fully on verbals. So he is fully focused on a piece of food that he knows eventually you'll say get it. But he's also learning how to listen to you, bring his brain back into his body, and put his body into a down. This is how you will eventually have that dog that can come off the squirrel out of a full run. It's teaching him to listen regardless of where his focus is. But you have to build the steps to get to that point. Wick is great at her get it. I can let go when she waits for get it. She cannot down yet because her verbal down has been a work in progress for a while, but it isn't clean enough. And then if I ask her for a down, she starts to get all, do you want me to get it? I don't know what you want. And then you see the frustration building, and then that's not useful. So hopefully now you're starting to get the idea how to work proofing, and it could be anything your dog. I taught my dog to sit in a roasting pan. So like an aluminum turkey pan. He hated the aluminum, so it took us forever. First it was, can you go near it? Can you put a paw in it? Can you put two paws in it? And eventually it worked. But all that training, those are considered stupid pet tricks. All that training helped him understand how to walk on different surfaces, overcome discomfort, because he was like, I don't like aluminum, it makes noise, it's slippy, I don't like it. That's it. All this proofing isn't just exactly what you're training, but it's a big picture. Biggest thing is be creative, have fun, laugh when your dog makes mistakes. Oh, that was funny. Yes, there was a person at the door. No, you're not supposed to go there. Let's go back to work. And I don't give cues. I'm very careful with my cues, but I talk because I talk regularly when I'm training my dog. Just conversation. That's time, do it on just verbals. Make sure when you're working your verbals, you may help with body language as you're teaching the verbal, but once you feel your verbal is clean, make sure you're perfectly still and you're not going sit and using this. A lot of people lean forward and their dogs are actually sitting off the lean forward instead of the verbal. Make sure your dog is actually sitting off your verbal. For this, when I start playing with this, I do stuff like I sit in a chair. I stand on a stool because your body language would look totally different. Stuff like that, and go sit. Does your dog go, oh, I understand, my butt hits the ground? Or does your dog go, oh, no, 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 you have to be standing in front of me on the floor before I can give you sit? Carolyn, I need visuals. Do you need visuals? I can totally set this up and video it and add it. Do you need visuals on that whole proofing challenge? Is that what you're asking? Let me know. So what happens when your dog fails? Your dog can't look away from the food bowl. Your dog can't look away, can look away, but can't sit when you ask. That's okay. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for your holes in the training so that you can create different challenges. That point where this exercise becomes hard, that's that line you're constantly playing with. Remember, this is your dog asking a question. When your dog fails on the next exercise, make it a little easier. Get a few successes in hand, get a few successes in, and then go back and ask the hard question again. You keep asking questions, making it easier and harder, and you just keep playing until all of a sudden the hard question is easy. This might take multiple sessions or might be done in a few repetitions. Really depends on the situation, the dog's understanding, and stuff like that. A couple of things about proofing that you always need to keep in mind. There is no bad dog. Dog does something wrong, we're like, ah! And it amazes me how little I do that now. It still slips out once in a while. It's really hard to stop that. There's no bad dogs. These are questions and answers. There's no judgment of your dog should do this or shouldn't do that. That whole my dog should get this it is killer. It's taken me years. My rule is if I say my dog should, I should smack myself in the head. Just a response to your dog's answers. Usually the lack of reinforcement tells them that wasn't the answer you wanted, and the management helps them not earn reinforcement from the wrong answer. Okay, Carolyn, I post a lot of showing me proofing with my dogs in my inner circle, but I will post one on hard. Don't constantly be pushing that envelope. When I set up a training session, I switch between hard stuff and easy stuff. And this is where I was saying I might sprinkle in some stupid pet tricks. Stuff that takes a lot of thinking and stuff that my dog is confident and enjoys doing. And you enjoy doing. Remember, training should be fun for you and your dog. I find when I'm training something new, I have to think really hard. So it's not just hard on the dog, it's hard on me. And when I think really hard, I'm not possibly as natural or enthusiastic as I am with something I'm very comfortable teaching. And I'm actually going to do, not next week's, possibly the following week, I'm going to do relief and dog training because when you're teaching something new, like if you've never done proofing with sit and now you're asking your dog to sit in the kitchen with a bowl full of kibble 10 feet away, in your deep down brain, you don't believe your dog will do it. So that belief is really hard on you and your dog. And yeah, that Facebook Live is going to be on belief. What you believe is, whether that's it. Okay, have a plan when you're proofing, but also be ready to leave the plan. When I am training a dog, I know what skills I'm working on. I always start the next training session easier than the one before. And this can be hard for real life skills, but I always try to set them up for success right at the beginning. For example, if you are walking and working reactivity, your walks are going to have some areas that are more challenging than others. Like you're going to walk by a house with barking dogs, and that's super challenging for your dog. On your way to the challenging house, you could work random sits with easy stays a few times, building value and having fun, getting your dog and yourself in the right state of mind to handle the challenge. Then you walk by the house with the barking dog, and then you work that at whatever level your dog's at. And that might be rewarding every step or playing ODR game 100 feet away from the house, then turning and going back the way you came. That really depends on your dog. After the house, you want to go back to an easier exercise like random downs or nose touches, something your dog's like, I can do this. I'm good at this. If the walk goes from hard situation to hard situation, that's a lot of stress for both of you, especially when you're dealing with emotionally charged stuff like reactivity. Me laugh. People are like, my dog knows how to stay. And they say sit and they walk away going, stay, 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 come. They all, I don't know where this came from, but they all do it the same. Yes, your dog knows how to stay when you say stay, 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 come. But if you drop that arm, does your dog know how to stay? If somebody walks in the room, um, if your dog, hold on, Lou, I'll explain in a minute. If your dog, somebody walks in the room, does your dog know how to stay? So see, there's all these factors. So be creative. Lou, yeah, I totally get bad internet connection. I'm hoping you guys can see this. And if the connection has been bad and you haven't been as clear as I would like, the recordings, for whatever reason, tend to be fine. So you can always watch it. ODR is observe, don't react. It's one of my big foundation games that I teach every dog that works with me in one shape or another. I will post a link in the show notes on my Facebook Live that explains ODR, but it's observe, don't react. It's teaching a dog to be able to watch something and not react and eventually listen to you regardless of the distraction. Okay, so proofing requires creativity. Be imaginative when challenging your dog. Today, I am going to give you a challenge, another opportunity to get some more Shake-a-Paw swag. I want to see pictures of your dog sitting on different things or in different things. Be creative. A park bench, a big rock. My dogs hate rocks. Every time I see a big rock, I make them sit on it and take a picture to the point where they're like, really? We went to Lake Placid with my now 11-year-old border collie, and he was like, enough with the pictures on the rocks. I have so many pictures on rocks. Okay, in a trailer, like a garden trailer or a big trailer, on a surfboard, if you have a surfboard, on a trampoline, on a tree stump, in a roasting pan. Remember, I talked about the roasting pan, on someone's back. So have someone lie on their front, get the dog to sit on their back. I'm sure that would be interesting to teach. On someone's back when the person is on their hands and knees. So I would start that by having, this is good to do with a kid, because they'll stand on their hands and knees for a while, put a pillow under them. Have the dog get on the couch or on something high, and then have them walk onto the person's back and reward that, and then get them off. So first you want them to be comfortable with being on their back. Then I would sit on the ground a few times and go, you know how to sit, you know how to sit, you know how to sit. Then I would get them off the couch onto the back and then ask for a sit and reward. So you see how, again, I broke it down into pieces and then I put the pieces together. And if the dog was like, nope, then fine, we work on whatever piece. What was he uncomfortable with? Was he uncomfortable on getting on the person's back? Then I'll start there. I might even put a piece of board or something on the person's back and then build up to being able to stand on their back. That's it. And make sure they might need to wear like a heavy jacket just because the nails. But that's it. You would need to figure out, where is my dog's area of, I'm not sure about that, and then work that. Debbie, yeah, the rocks. It's ridiculous. My dog's picnic tables, anything they can get up on, I'm like, hop it up. Get on that. My dogs will hop up on anything. Okay, so 2 prizes will be given. One will be a draw, 1 entry for every sit picture you post in the comments. Feel free to send in as many as you like. And 1 prize will be for the most creative place someone got their dog to sit. And what I'm thinking I'll do is I will post the pictures and we can vote through, I'll do a poll and we can vote through next week's live, and then the prize will be given at the end. The winner will be announced at the end. I promise you, playing this game with laughter and joy will improve your dog's sit. Like I said, trying to teach them to get on someone's back, I'm not going to teach them to, I might start with the person flat on the ground. Can you get on their back? Can you sit on their back? And then on their hands and knees, I might do it off the couch. Lots of cookies, lots of fun. Laugh when they get it wrong. This is training. That is perfect training. Use treats, use a hand signal. Your goal is the picture, not perfection. I don't need your dog to sit on a verbal for this. I want your dog to just go, oh, I got on something and I sat on it. And of course, have fun. You should be laughing. If somebody wants to do a blooper reel, that would be definitely worth a swag. If somebody sends me in a blooper reel of them trying to get their dog to sit somewhere funny, that will definitely be worth swag. The only rule is you can't be holding your dog. You can't be touching the dog in the picture, because I don't want anyone to feel, sometimes we get excited with our goals and we might force the dog to do them. Been there, done that. So if I don't let you touch the dog, then you're a lot less likely to, you can't force them, right? Because you'll have to hold them there. And of course, please don't ask your dog to sit anywhere that would be unsafe. Before I end this live, I want to let you know our coaching community is once again open for new students. Here's some recent student problems I've been helping them work through. My dog gets highly excited very quickly and then is difficult to manage. He then redirects towards me. I would like my dog to be less reactive in social settings and when seeing other dogs. My dog has guarding fear and aggression. These are just some of my students, and we're working through them and having a great time, and they're learning and they're enjoying training again, which is lovely. All plans are, of course, custom made for you, your dog, your family to help you achieve your dream lifestyle with your dog. Because if you just simply want a cookie cutter program, you can find those free on YouTube. And anyhow, the real work is not in the training steps itself, but in accurately diagnosing the root cause and helping you create a sustainable plan that you can actually maintain, that gets you closer to your goals. That's the thing. I can never be able to do that. Then that's useless. We have to create plans that work. I do it for myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I like to do. I know what I don't like to do. And then I modify the plans to work for me so I can achieve what I want. And sometimes I'm wrong. And sometimes with my clients, I always tell them this is not set in stone. If you're not, if it's not working, we will rethink it. Um, thank you, Debbie. I can't believe I've done 50. Um, so this is how you get the dog that it's you get a dog who can walk on leash, no more hiding and walking at off hours, a dog that is comfortable in public, a dog who is welcome in the homes of friends and families, the dog that people compliment you on how well behaved your dog is. Come on, everybody loves somebody going, oh, what a lovely dog, so well behaved. We're all like, yes, it is. Or the dog you can confidently let off leash because you know he won't leave and will come when called. Send me a message to find out more how together we can develop a training plan to get your dog to the level of training needed to be a week. As I talk about positive dog training and setting your dog up to make the right choices and all that, there are some things the dog still does have to understand there are situations where they don't have a choice. And this has to be delicately done without creating fear, but very much creating not optional. For example, when you have to pull blood at the vet, the dog has to understand how to be held and how blood to be pulled quick, easy peasy, not let's wrestle for 20 minutes where you're all exhausted and terrified and the dog's eyes are like this and he's like, you're never getting me into a vet clinic again. So how to go about choice, no choice. Join me next week as I dive into this topic and give you a better understanding of what your dog needs to understand. So set it in your calendars to join me Friday, May 21st at 10 a.m. Have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully it's lovely weather where you are. Thank you.